The night stretches across the Scottish hills, wrapped in mist that curls like smoke around the earth. The land sleeps, but the air is alive with tension, heavy with something unspeakable. A lone fire flickers in the darkness, its glow spilling across rough stone walls, painting shapes that twist and vanish in the shadows. Against that light stands Ellen, her breath quick, her body still. Her heart caught in a storm she cannot contain. She feels his presence before she dares to look. A silhouette lingers nearby, blurred by shadow, faceless yet undeniable. Brian. The name echoes in her chest like a prayer she cannot confess aloud. Every instinct tells her to retreat, to remember the weight of her family's name and the duties carved into her blood, and yet she does not move. Her body betrays her silence. Leaning forward as though drawn by some unseen thread, the fire crackles louder, as if mocking her restraint. Wax slides down the side of a melting candle, drop by drop, a slow reminder that time is burning away. Ellen's hand grazes the cold surface of the wall, fingers trembling, aching for something they cannot grasp. She knows this desire is dangerous. She knows it could unravel everything she has been taught to protect. But her heart does not listen. Desire is not kind. It consumes. Mist rolls outside, covering the hills like a veil, hiding sins from the eyes of the world. Waves crash against distant cliffs, as restless as the storm inside her chest. She steals another glance at the figure in the firelight. The silence between them is louder than thunder, filled with all the words neither dares to speak.
It is
not innocence that binds them, it is something older, darker. A fire meant to ruin and to save. And though Ellen feels the cost waiting for her, she cannot turn away. In this stillness, in this dance of shadow and flame, she knows she is already lost. She is alive, she is trembling, and she is ruined before a single word has been spoken. Asterisk, the night presses closer, heavy with silence. Ellen feels as though the world itself is holding its breath. Beyond these walls lies her family name, her bloodline, her duty. Every step of her life has been shaped by honor, by rules older than her own heartbeat. Yet here, in this chamber, filled with shadows, she stands on the edge of something she cannot control. Her eyes drift toward the flickering firelight. But it is not the flames that hold her, it is the figure bathed in their glow. Brian stands there, faceless in the dark, but his presence cuts through the air like steel. He is not a stranger. He is not a passing shadow. He is the danger her family warned her against, and the comfort her soul cannot stop reaching for. Storm churns inside her. On one side, duty sharpens its blade, reminding her of the promises her blood demands. A woman like her must honor her kin. A woman like her must carry the weight of legacy. On the other side, passion whispers with the softness of firelight, a voice that tells her she has the right to burn, the right to want. It is temptation made flesh, standing only a breath away. The sound of the wind rattles against the wooden frame of the window, as though the Highlands themselves protest her hesitation. She feels her body torn in two. Her mind repeats the lessons, drilled into her since girlhood. You belong to your family, your choices are not your own. Yet her heart beats louder, each throb a rebellion, each breath a betrayal. She pictures her family crest etched deep in stone. It feels cold, heavy, immovable. Then she looks at the firelight dancing against the wall and thinks of Brian's hand, rough from labor, warm from life. That warmth calls to her in ways stone never could. She knows which world she longs for, but she also knows which one could destroy her. Her breath trembles in her chest as she fights against herself. The room is filled with silence, but her silence is a war. She remembers the faces of those who would judge her, the voices of kin who would cast her aside. She imagines the ruin that would follow if she allowed herself to fall into the gravity of his presence. Yet, as her thoughts threaten to anchor her in fear, her body betrays her again. A single step forward, barely noticeable but undeniable. A movement born not of reason, but of need. The candle burns lower, wax spilling like tears onto the table. The shadows lengthen, reaching out across the room as though to join her in this forbidden dance. She feels the nearness of Brian like fire against her skin, even though they have not touched. His silence is not empty, is filled with desire, filled with restraint, filled with everything neither of them dares to speak. Ellen closes her eyes. For a moment she imagines herself walking away, back into the safety of expectation, back into the world that would never forgive her for this moment. But when she opens them, her gaze finds his again, and she knows she will not move. She cannot. Duty tells her to retreat. Passion tells her to surrender. Between those two voices, she realizes she is no longer free. For whatever path she chooses, she will be marked by it. She will either break beneath the weight of obedience, or she will burn in the fire of desire. Both paths promise ruin, and yet tonally, one feels alive. The storm outside howls louder, rattling the window pane, shaking the frame as if nature itself mirrors the war in her soul. The fire snaps, sending sparks into the air, a warning of how quickly flame can spread, how easily it can consume. Ellen breathes in, slow, heavy, trembling, and knows the truth. She is already burning. The choice was never hers. The moment she looked at him, the fire claimed her, and with that truth, the world feels both terrifying and inevitable. She belongs to two fates, one carved by duty, the other by passion. But only one will let her live. Asterisk the silence between them deepens thick enough to crush her breath. Ellen feels as if the whole world has shrunk to this single room, to this single heartbeat that refuses to calm. The fire crackles, throwing sparks upward, but the sound barely touches her ears. She hears as the rhythm inside her chest, fast, urgent, unstoppable. She looks at Brian, and though his face remains hidden in shadow, his nearness is a weight that pulls at every part of her. Her hands curl into fists at her sides. She wants to resist, to cling to the last thread of control, but it slips through, her fingers like water. The storm inside her has become too strong. She feels it in the tremble of her body, in the ache of her heart that begs to surrender. The world outside the name she carries, the duty that binds her fades, until it is nothing but distant noise. All that exists now is the flame between them. The candlelight sways, stretching shadows long across the walls as if even the darkness bends toward them. Ellen takes a step forward, small, trembling, but it changes everything. The air grows heavy, thick with something unspoken, something undeniable. She can almost feel the warmth of his skin, the breath that hangs between them. Her lips part, but no words come. Her body shakes with the weight of what she cannot say, until at last the silence breaks. The words slip out. Fragile yet sharp, carried by a voice that quivers with both fear and certainty. Ruin me. The moment hangs, suspended in time. The phrase does not echo in the air, echoes in her soul. It is not just a plea, it is a surrender, an admission, a command. She has chosen fire over stone, passion over duty. She has chosen to burn. The world seems to tilt. The storm outside slams against the windows, thunder rolling in the distance, as if the heavens themselves recoil from her confession. But Ellen feels no fear. For the first time, she feels free. Her heart pounds, as though it is broken free of every chain, beating wild, beating alive. The cost no longer matters. The ruin no longer frightens her. She craves it. Brian does not move at once, but the silence between them shifts. It no longer holds back. It vibrates with release, with inevitability. Shadows stretch closer, overlapping on the stone walls, two forms becoming one in the flicker of firelight. The candle guttering on the table collapses, wax spilling in a slow river, mirroring the unraveling of restraint. The fire snaps brighter for a moment, as though celebrating the surrender. Ellen's body leans into the gravity of the moment, her breath trembling, but steady enough to carry her truth again. Softer this time, almost a whisper lost to the wind. Ruin me, and in that confession, the storm breaks. What was forbidden becomes fate. What was hidden becomes inevitable. Love, passion, and destruction are no longer enemies. They are the same fire burning through her veins, lighting the night. For Ellen, there is no turning back. She has stepped into the fire willingly, knowing it will consume her. And in that choice, she finds a twisted kind of freedom. Because sometimes ruin is not the end. It is the only way to live. The silence after her words is not empty. It is full, so full. It presses against her chest, making it hard to breathe. The room has not changed, and yet it feels unrecognizable. The fire still burns, the candle still melts, the storm still pounds against the stone walls, but Ellen is no longer the same. She has crossed a line that cannot be undone, a threshold that divides who she was from who she has now become. Her body feels weightless, as if she has stepped off a ledge into the unknown. And yet, she does not fall. She floats, carried by the strange calm that follows surrender. Duty no longer shackles her. Fear no longer silences her. She has given herself over to ruin, and in doing so, she has found a freedom she never believed possible. The shadows on the wall begin to merge. Their outlines no longer separate. Two forms blend into one, flickering in the light, fragile yet unstoppable. Outside, the wind howls across the Highlands, tearing through the night as though carrying her confession to the world.
Perhaps tomorrow.
The weight of her choice will come crashing down. Perhaps her family's judgment will cut deeper than any blade. But tonight, in this fleeting silence, none of that matters. Ellen's heart slows, but each beat carries a new truth that passion and destruction can live as one. That love does not always heal, it consumes, it scars, it remakes. She closes her eyes, and in the darkness behind her lids she sees only fire. Fire that destroys, fire that saves, fire that leaves nothing untouched. The storm outside begins to soften, the thunder fades, the rain quiets to a whisper. The world exhales, as though accepting what has already been sealed. The fire in the hearth burns lower, its flames settling into a steady glow, like a secret kept alive in the dark. For Ellen, the choice is made. The cost is no longer something to fear, but something to embrace. If ruin is the price of feeling alive, then she welcomes it. She stands not as a woman defeated, but as a woman reborn in flame. The night folds around her, wrapping her secret in shadows. Tomorrow will bring consequence. Tomorrow will bring judgment. But tonight belongs to her. Tonight belongs to the fire. And as the last candlelight flickers against stone, as the room sinks into near darkness, one truth remains: ruin is not the end. Sometimes ruin is the beginning.